Music Scene Investigation is on the air. Rich Wildman here with you. Glad to see you, everyone, out in the chat room. It's always good to have you join us on today's broadcast. 3 more songs go under the microscope, and our panelists will ferret them out, review them, critique them, and let us know what they think of them. And we'll have a lot of useful information for the artist and a lot of great music for you, the music fan, as well. Of course, if you're a music artist and you would like to have your music in front of our panel, the easiest way to do that, and the only way to do that, is to go to musicsceneinvestigation.com. And there you can click on the Submit a Song link at the top of the page and submit your music. Very simple, very easy. In fact, it's almost painless. I say almost because, well, you have to hear Tommy and Ian say stuff about it afterwards. It's not too bad.
We're not that bad.
It's not bad. It really isn't. Ian, how you doing, sir? All the way from London, England, in his Star Wars T-shirt.
Yeah, just sort of shout out to Han Solo for breaking his ankle in Millennium Falcon this week.
It happens when you're 72 years old.
I mean, for years he's been hitting that spacecraft with a wrench trying to make it work, and it's just getting his own back.
I read a report today that said he actually hurt his hip as well, so he may have broken a hip.
I mean, that's not uncommon for a
age.
71-year-old, is it? Yeah, exactly.
And I also heard that people are flock-hearting over to him to find out if he's all right, especially his wife.
See what he did there.
Yeah, I tried, but it just doesn't work when I do it. So, Ian, do me a favor, give me some information about last week's witness statements when we had Danny Sherwood, Jacob 22, and the Dash 2 on the broadcast.
Well, it's an easy one this week. Everyone, drum roll. Agree with this.
That's happened like a lot lately.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show that we make some good decisions, and the people are on our side.
I'm glad everybody...
Well, didn't we have 2 acapellas and a bear?
I think that was to you, Ian.
I'll deflect that one to Rich. I don't know. I didn't look at the bios of the people. There could have been 2 acapellas and a bear. I didn't read the bear's biography, to be honest.
30 seconds of pure radio silence followed.
I know, that was frightening.
Hey, Tommy in New York City, how you going? I see you got your microphone up off of your mixer. That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. You won't hear me typing anymore.
Or any less, yeah.
And you won't hear typing. Oh.
Does it look like it's suspended in midair yet?
No.
I'm trying to work it out so that it blends in with the equipment behind me.
Yeah. Don't think you could do that without camouflage paint, Tommy.
Or hiring a boom operator.
Yeah. That's what you need. Get a shotgun mic and have your intern hold it over your head throughout the whole show.
Well, never give a gun to the intern.
Don't give him a microphone.
But that's another no-no.
Especially when they are mics like you have. Tommy, for those who are interested, only buys the expensive microphones, and I have no idea why.
Because they make me look better. I look thinner behind a bigger mic.
They make him look better, but the sound is just the same.
And notice now that I've gone retro with the smaller microphone.
And by the way, Pinky is questioning your typing skills in the chat room. He says, you call that typing, huh?
Typing or typecasting?
I call it sausage fingers on keys.
Well, these are, drum thumpers.
So you should have been doing the drum roll for Ian then.
I'm union member. I don't drum unless I get paid.
All right. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to introduce our guest panelist. Our guest panelist was with us back in August. Yes, it has been that long since she's been with us, and we're glad she's back with us. Our guest panelist is Debra Russell. She's a certified results coach. She owns the Artist Edge, where she works with business and industry professionals to help shape their business and ensure their success. She's works with performers, songwriters, composers, venue owners, which is something we don't talk a lot about here, but maybe we'll get into that, as well as agents, managers, producers, and engineers. So, Deborah, welcome back to the broadcast. We're so glad to have you with us again.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back.
It has been a while, and we're just pleased as punch. So, tell me, how have things been going? It's been a while since we've had you on. How have things been going with you?
Busy, busy, busy. I've been working a lot with a lot of clients and speaking engagements and going to conferences and, life.
Life is good, and as my mom used to say, being busy keeps you off the streets and out of trouble. I don't know why she told me that. Out of all the kids, I was the only one she said that to, but,
Unless where you're busy is on the streets, but,
Yeah, well, that could have been part of it.
We're going back to a little bit of the pre-show now.
Yeah, I'd say
That's right.
Rich's past is something people don't really like to talk about in public these days.
Yeah, that's true. We shouldn't talk about my past at all. So, Deborah, now, when we had you on last, we talked a bit about the Artist Edge. Now, I know that you're doing the Marketing and Business Academy there, which helps artists with their business basics and basically just informs them of the ins and outs of the entertainment industry and how they can get ahead. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how the MBA is going for you?
Oh, it's going real well. It's more than just the music industry. It's about business. So it's got kind of the ABCs of how to run a business, how to market a business, how to manage your time, how to manage your money, how to really do all the nuts and bolts of what it takes to be successful. In my opinion, in my experience, the people who are most successful in the music industry, it's rarely because they're the most talented, it's because they're the most business savvy. And so I don't help you at all with your talent or your skill around music. I help you with your business savvy. And that's what the Artist MBA is about. The Artist Marketing and Business Academy.
That makes sense, because I would imagine that the idea there is a musician already knows about music. They need to know about the business aspect, which is the harder aspect of the two for them.
Right. And it's mostly, it's not that it's harder, it's that they've spent less time developing those skills. And that's all it is developing skills.
That makes perfect sense. So now I know that you speak at a lot of events. Mm-hmm. In fact, a fair number of events. Just looking over the bio I have of you here, the NSAI, the Artist Northwest, Taxi Road Rally, and the West Coast Songwriter are just a few of the events you've spoken at. Now, I think that we talked about this last time, about the contents, about what you bring to the panel and the table when you're at these events. Just as a reminder to everybody, when you go to events like this, what are the most common things you get approached with, the questions you get asked?
Most people struggle with time management. And they, and that's, if your time management doesn't work, kind of nothing else does. So that's a big one. A lot of times we talk about marketing, about the internet, social media, all that kind of stuff. I very often come in on marketing panels. And then also what I teach about is kind of the internal skills about, confidence and how to take and accept and use feedback and that kind of thing.
So how does something like confidence, for example, in a new indie artist, how would you coach them on that? We have a lot of artists who come in and present their music to us as step number one, maybe. But we've seen over the years that a lot of artists may not be as confident behind the microphone as they might be in front of the microphone. I mean, it's easy to... Well, I guess it's not really easy, but it might be for them to offer their music to a broadcast like what we do here on MSI. But when they're in front of the microphone on the stage, they may suffer from that. How can they carry the confidence across and onto the stage, too?
Well, it's a big question, so let me kind of give you a brief answer. I think primarily it's what you think about. It's what you think about what you're doing and what you think about yourself. And a lot of it is just practice, just doing it over and over and over again so that it stops being foreign. And whether that's just going to a million open mics until you feel really solid in what you're doing, you know, and then start performing out and performing out and performing out. The more you do it, the more confident you're going to become. It's, you know, it's a skill like any other. It's the 10,000 hours thing. You got to build that skill.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was a theater major in college, and one of the things, you know, they always told you, the more you get up in front of an audience, the more comfortable you're going to be doing stuff like that.
Yeah, me too. I was actually a theater major myself.
Well, there you go.
So yeah, you know, it's the ease of that. It's also what you focus on. I know when I was in theater, you know, you have the fourth wall. You're not supposed to actually be connecting with the audience, which is different than when you're performing as a musician. It's actually in the connection that you make with the audience that both the fear disappears because you're connecting, but also it's how you draw them in, how you bring them into the experience.
I guess, you know, I'm trying to equate this to what I've done in my past, you know, giving presentations and speeches to large groups of people. I guess it's kind of the same thing. You know, one of the things that made it easy for me was to realize that everybody puts their pants on the same way, no matter how important they may seem, whether they're the CEO or whomever. They put their pants on the same way that you do and I do, and they're just there to get the information that you're handing out to them. Same thing, I guess, is true for a musician.
Yeah, see, that's not how I work it. For me, it's more really seeking out and connecting with particular faces in the audience and making them kind of have the experience I want them to have more important than whether or not they like me or whether or not I'm looking stupid or, you know, the stuff that we worry about, which really they don't care about, because everybody is mostly focused on themselves. If you focus on what you're trying to get across to your audience, a lot of times everything else disappears.
And I really have to ask this question because it's weighing heavily on my mind. Since you're saying picking out a face in the audience, I'm picking out this face right here. How do we connect with that face?
Oh, easily.
All right, well, there you go. There you go. I have a hard time doing it. I'm just saying. You know.
Oh, he's a big teddy bear. Come on, he's easy.
He's classic. He is classic. I don't
know if he knows that we're talking about it.
Yeah, he does. He does. He just hasn't seen his face yet.
How did I know?
Yeah, I know. Oh, we love you, Tommy.
You know, you're talking to the guy that did a 5-minute solo of silence.
Yeah, I know, and I still have that video. By the way, Tommy reminds me of Falstaff from, you know, Shakespeare's. Anyway, you would make a great Falstaff, Tommy.
Well, thank you.
You would.
You would. All right. All right, Deborah, what is coming up for the Artist Edge? I know that we have your website where people can find you, but what do you have going on that you want to let everybody know about? Why they need to get to your website, artist-edge.com?
Well, I've got some good free content there. I've got a 10-week e-course that you can sign up and get some really crucial tidbits of information. I also have tons of articles, and so you can get started and get to know me a bit, and then of course you can join the Artist Marketing and Business Academy for $5. Kind of
that's a bargain.
So
that's a bargain, yeah.
So yeah, you know, all of that stuff's there, and of course you can reach me through the contact page, and also, you know, connect with me on Twitter and Facebook and the G+.
I know you use G+ a lot. At what point do you recommend that artists in their career? I mean, we're talking about people who come to us and submit their music. They're artists who may have just been making music in their bedroom for the last month, who may have been out on the road for years. At what point do you recommend that they really start leveraging social media in their career?
They need a website first. because their social media should drive people to their website. But as soon as they've got a website up, immediately.
All right,
Immediately.
So don't wait around.
No, gosh, no.
And,
what are you waiting for?
All right. Now, the same question I guess I need to ask is at what point, and this is, I think, even a more difficult question from my perspective, at what point would a musician, look towards the Artist Edge for assistance?
Well, with the Artist Marketing and Business Academy, I make that a fairly low barrier so people can get started with that stuff right away. It is a self-motivated DIY program, so you can, learn at your own pace. When you're ready to really take it to the big time, that's when you want to contact me privately. And, we'll when you're really ready to get serious and put your heart and soul into it, that's when you get in touch with me privately.
All right. Well, that makes perfect sense. And we're definitely here at MSI looking. I think, Ian, what we need to do is go through the MBA process.
Well, that's basketball, isn't it?
No, the Marketing and Business Academy.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant the NBA. Sorry.
No, yeah, the MBA.
He never pays
I've got a question for Deb, because we were having quite an in-depth conversation before the show. And Deborah, I mean, in your opinion, is there anything you can't put chocolate on?
No, I think that you can put chocolate on just about anything. Whether you want to eat it off of that thing is another question entirely.
There you have it.
Fantastic answer. What a fantastic answer.
And we're hurrying right along now.
Yeah, we definitely are. On that note, I think what we're going to do is we're going to get into some music.
Put some chocolate on some music, yes.
That's exactly right. We're going to put chocolate on music and see how well that goes down for everybody. So here today is the first song of the day. Just a reminder to our panelists, it opens very loud. I'm going to try and control that for our audience. So enjoy song number 1 on today's Music Scene Investigation. Here it is, everyone. Song number 1. That is song number 1 on today's Music Scene Investigation. And as soon as I can get my cameras operating again, there we go. That's much better, isn't it? No, you probably would refer. Never mind. Forget about it. Everybody's holding their hands up to the cameras in the chat. Okay, never. Let's talk to Ian Husbands and find out what he thinks about this song. Ian, what do you think about track number 1?
Yeah, despite the slight scary start when it just sort of hits him in that sort of real nasty sort of buzzy there. Like the track, do like the track. Lots of energy, really nice arrangements, some great dynamics, and some brilliant performances going on. The bass player and the the bass player and the drummer were locked in really nicely. Drums sounded great, bass sounded great, had a nice metallic edge to it, a bit of clarity in there, which brought it out. Did find the vocalist was a tad buried. Along with the backing vocals as well. I'd like to hear that up in the mix a bit more sort of together. And I felt that there was a horrible distortion going on somewhere in this mix. Not that was meant to be there, if that makes sense. Not sort of been put on the guitars, but sort of crept in there either through a loud mix. It's more of a clipping through a loud mix or an over compression in mastering. It does feel very over compressed. It's definitely pumping a little bit. And everything's starting to sort of cram together. I'd like to hear that back off, a bit more space, bring those vocals up. It's got a sort of Incubus feel to it for me, which is cool. Bands like No Effects and stuff like that. Really sort of did like that vocalist. Did feel the vocal processing was a little bit strained as well. I think there was a slight bit of auto-tune sort of creeping in there. Again, as well as some sort of phasing or distortions that were coming in on the vocal as well. I just think this has been squashed too much. Take it back, remix it, get those vocals up at a dB or 2 higher, and then remaster it with a bit more love and care. But otherwise, fantastic band, great song. Would like to hear more from them.
Would you like it covered in chocolate, though?
In all fairness to Deborah, she's right. Anything's better covered in chocolate.
All right. Well, there you have it. All right.
See?
Over to...
Just saying.
Exactly. Over to Tommy. Tommy, track number 1 over to you, sir.
Well, I disagree only with one thing Ian said, that because those guitars were up front so much, all the dynamics were lost. They were hitting the compressor, and you could hear that the changes were going on underneath the guitars, and they should have really broke down in some areas instead of just constantly driving. I mean, as a song, it's got great potential. Everything is there. And Ian had said, though, it's got to really go back and do the mix over again. The vocals and everything were just, it was a disjointed mix because those guitars, not only were they way up front, they were also out of phase. And that may have been that phasing thing you were talking about, Ian, because my head was kind of going like dog hearing a whistle in the high end.
Yeah, that's it.
They really they went, okay, this is a great mix, and now let's push it to 12. And they just over-compressed it, pushed the guitars up. Great vocalist, like you said, great playing on the guitars and the drums and the bass, but it just needs to be mixed with a lot more TLC and then take it out again. Sort of like put it in the garage, work on under the hood, and show it off later on.
All right, Tommy, thank you very much. And by the way, for those out in the audience there who are commenting on Tom's board, you can read his review over at the Live to Play Network as soon as it's published, whenever Tom gets around to it. I'm just saying, Tom, get around to it,
I've already submitted.
All right, so it should be up there before too long, and you can read his review on the very board he has in front of him there.
All right, sorry, I thought
video.
Sorry.
I thought Box was saying that he liked you looking bored, so I said I thought you were actually looking quite animated.
All right, Deborah, help me out here. What do you think of track number 1?
I completely agree with what everybody else was saying. And I'm not an engineer or a producer, so I'm not going to take that on. I thought that the verse I thought that the chorus, the hook in the chorus was awesome. That that there was it's memorable. It's something that I will continue humming. I agree that the drums and the bass were really well played, but it was so hard to hear them over the distortion that I kept losing kind of that groove. But my biggest comment is about the verse, which was basically boring, sorry, because it was the exact same all 4 lines. So it was A, awesome chorus, A. You know, just like, wait, could you bring some of that harmonic, melodic feel into the verse? Because it basically, every line starts and ends on the exact same note, and it's really riding high right on the chord, so there's no tension being created in the verse that then brings you into the chorus. So it also, the distortion was so bad that I couldn't understand any of the lyrics, so I don't know if they were any good or not. I think that there's a lot of potential here, and it needs to be a little less in your face. That the intensity is going to read a lot better if you ramp up to it, and if you aren't always at the 11, right? And that's another film reference if anyone wants to call it out on the chat. You start at 11, you end your verse is at 11, your chorus is at 11. It gets dull after a while, so it doesn't give you any place to go. So that was my feeling. However, I will also say that I don't think it needs that much tweaking to make it really, really solid.
All right.
So that's me.
All right, Deborah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm going to introduce that track to everybody. The name of this song, well, it's called Losing Ground by a group called Elcaset, or Elcaset. I don't know exactly how it's pronounced. So I'm going to give you both pronunciations, and we appreciate their sending in the track to Music Scene Investigation. Got 2 more tracks to go through, guys and gal, so let's get to it with track number 2 right now on the broadcast. Here it is, everyone, track number 2 on Music Scene Investigation. Enjoy.
Somehow I let you go. Now that you need me the most, going against the flow, going to let you know, going to let you know. If I could fly tonight, I'd know just where I'd be. If I could fly tonight, you'd be right here beside me. I'd never let you go. Something I need to say. My heart is in your hands. Before you get too far away, let's make a simple plan. Don't wanna let you know. Don't wanna let you go. If I could fly tonight, I'd know just where I'd be. If I could fly tonight, you'd be right here beside me. I'd never let you go. Don't wanna say goodbye. say. My heart is in your hands. Now that you're so far away, so much for simple plans. Don't wanna let you know, but I'm going to let you go. If I could fly tonight, I'd know just where I'd be. If I could fly tonight, you'd be right inside me. If I could fly tonight, you'd be right here beside me. If I could fly tonight, you'd be right here beside me. I'd never let you go.
There you have song number 2 on today's music scene investigation. I'm getting blamed for something I didn't type. It was Ian's fault. He typed it. He should take the blame for it, but we're beyond that now. We're going to go over to Tommy for his thoughts on track number 2. Hey, Tommy, what do you think about track number 2?
I think it was all Ian's fault.
Thank you. I see.
Actually, it was not that bad of a mix for the fact that it was pretty much all in mono. Everything was straight up the middle, and it just seemed like horseshoes, where you had the kick, and then the bass, and then the vocals, and then the background vocals, just all stacking on top of each other, and the vocals again being the loudest. Again, overly loud, overly compressed. I would widen it out. It's a little retro sounding, and I would go more in that direction with the guitar sounds and that snare. It sounds like MIDI drums. I may be wrong, but if it is MIDI drums or live drums, change that snare. It just, like, every time it hit, it got more and more, what's the word Ian always use? Spiteful. It just rang the wrong way in my head. And despite the fact that the vocals were loud, they were so overprocessed, I was having trouble making out what they were saying. Melodically, it moved well, but again, dynamics, because of the mix, is lacking. And here we have another song that starts off good and has all the elements there, but as I said, they're all stacked on top of each other. And as I always try to say to whoever submits, presentation is really, really important, because you want to make that first impression when the music hits, like, wow, that's great. And my first impression was, why does everything sound like it's in mono? And why am I not getting a big, wide, full feeling? Because the size of the sounds are there, but everything was sort of just compacted.
All right, Tommy, makes sense. I appreciate your thoughts. Let's go over to Debra Russell. Debra, track number 2, what do you think?
Yeah, the song itself, I liked a lot. I liked the harmonics. I liked the hook was really fun. I could see it really going somewhere, radio. The reverb on the voices were so intense that it lost, I think, a lot of the value. The harmonies were gorgeous, but they got really muddy. Someone on the chat said that it was, too wet. It really did sound muddy and wet to me. And I don't know the technical why it was or wasn't, but as far as just the structure of the song, the melody of the song, the lyrics, I think there's really, really solid song there. And it seems to me like they didn't trust it. They didn't trust the quality of the song. they didn't trust the quality of the voices, and so they tried to layer stuff on top of it because it like wasn't enough. So I would suggest you got to kind of lay back a bit and really let the song speak for itself. I definitely, someone on the chat was also saying that, you know, that the drums sounded like they might be programmed, but I have to agree, because there were a lot of places where a really good drum roll could accent, could add emotion to it. Yeah, it needed a live drummer, and that I think also would have made a big difference.
All right, Deborah, I appreciate those thoughts as well. Now over to Ian and what his thoughts are. Ian?
All right. Yes, there's mix issues, too much reverb, mono, lots of mono going on, we need some stereo. But, you know, we've all been here. As a songwriter especially, we've been here. And, you know, don't take the fact that your mix isn't that great as a sort of knock on your songwriting, because there's a strong hook there, there's a good melody there. But performances and mix and production are lacking. So, you know, start playing to your strengths. Look at getting some other people involved that can help you with drum programming or playing a bit of guitar or doing some backing vocals. Start to collaborate a bit more. Look out on the internet. Loads of websites like iCompositions and compose.com that you can go to and find people to help you with your music. You know, and you can learn from that. I think, you know, you're in a position with this track, you've got someone who is attempting to put down a good song with the techniques and facilities and skills that they've got, when really they want to push it further and get people who know what they're doing a bit more involved to help them pull that song up. So, yeah, you've got mix issues, you've got production issues, but you've got a great song. So I would rework this and, you know, get some people that know what they're talking about to help you and work it up. It'll be great.
All right. Well, Ian, I appreciate your thoughts as well. Now, to introduce that track to everybody, it's me. Yeah, I do it all the time, don't I? All right. The name of that track is Fly Tonight, and it's by a group called In This Decade. We appreciate In This Decade sending that track into Music Scene Investigation. Now, we talked earlier about social networking. Hang on, Ian. I want to give a plug to Walter because he is the premier guy for social networking out on the intertubes. We call the web, but everybody else calls the net. They're all ahead of me in that regard.
He's very hands-on.
He is hands-on, as Ian says. And I'm going to shame Ian about that forever. He's very, very bad today. Anyway, go see Walter over at theindiemusicbus.com. He'll be sure to help you out on the net in social networking. He's the guy with the plan. He's the man with the plan. So indiemusicbus.com is where you want to go there. All right, Ian, it's a shame that you actually snuck that drink in there in the middle, you know. I saw that.
Fantastic, wasn't it? Can you do an impression of Kermit the Frog?
Who, me? No.
Yeah.
No.
Because every time you sort of go to introduce yourself, doing the introduction of the band, it would just be sort of, and Kermit the Frog and do a quick impression.
I can't do that, though. I would have no idea how. Sorry, can't do it.
Just no trying with some people.
Maybe you should talk and see if Kermit's free to host the show one day.
Now that would be genius.
It would be, I think. We should try and get him in. That'd be awesome. All right. One more
how
song.
about if we got a Lego Kermit?
There
with
you
chocolate.
Go. With chocolate-covered frogs.
Chocolate-covered Lego Kermit.
Chocolate-covered frogs, eh? There you go.
What you got?
That's Harry Potter, isn't it?
I'm thinking that the guys and gals over at PETA would be listening to the show then.
Ooh.
Just saying.
Not if it's Lego.
I don't know. People for the eating of tasty animals, they might like that. It's covered in chocolate. They're probably going to be there. Just saying.
That was good. I'll give you that one.
All right.
All right, on your feet and up, Rich. Way to go. Let's hope you continue.
And let's go through one more track on today's broadcast. Track number 3, everybody. Here it comes. This is number 3 on today's MSI.
My complexion's so bad, I hate to go out. Don't be a square. Try Ting, the faster way to clear up pimples.
Yes, doctors' half-face tests prove Ting medicated cream dries up pimples more effectively than any other product tested. Here's why.
It's a doctor's half-face test as opposed to a full-face test. I don't know what that means, but it sure sounded good on the track. Over to Debra Russell from ArtistsEdge.com. Debra, what do you think about track number 3? Are you muted on your end, Debra?
Yep, there I am. Sorry. Well, there's not much there. It didn't seem like it went anywhere. It didn't seem like there was much. I don't know. There were some individual pieces that were kind of interesting, but nothing really. It just didn't go anywhere. There was no verse, there was no chorus, there was no real melody. There was a, guitar riff that kept going around doing the same thing over and over again, and some sirens, and I don't know what that thing at the end was. I hate to say it, it did absolutely nothing for me.
All right. Well, fair enough, Debra. I appreciate your thoughts on that. Over to the man with the bottle in his hand. Let's talk to Ian and find out what he thinks. Ian, 2 bottles. Boy, you're ambidextrous.
That's my carafe, darling.
He's got a wine chaser.
I was going to say, us sophisticated Americans call that a bottle.
Is it a chocolate wine chaser?
No, but the glass is covered in chocolate, so we're all good. Okay, I actually really like this. Now, I think there's elements of a lot of loops being used in this, but I think as a soundscape, more so than a song, you could see this in a film or a documentary, lots of dark footage. It's got a lot of good ideas. I've done stuff like this in the past. There's definitely some loopage going on, I would imagine, which is cool. I've got nothing against loops. They've been used quite well in this. I wondered where we were going with the intro. It was all a bit sort of, okay, it's got a groove, but it's not doing much. And then it sort of picked up, and then those guitars started to come in, and you sort of got this 9 Inch Nails meets the Led Zeppelin thing going on. And then Aretha Franklin started singing in the background. And then a bit of the Daft Punk robot came in, and I was thinking, a lot of this shouldn't work together, but they've made it work together. And as a soundscape and as a piece that would sort of go with the visual, I think this is really, really strong. Mix is good. Everything's sitting really quite well. Again, would like to hear more life in those drums. They were a bit ploddy. And I think that would have added to some of the drama of the track that maybe Debra was missing. If, a bit more feels and the drums pick up in places and come down a bit more in places. It's the sort of standard tap, tap. But yeah, I actually, as a piece, not as a song necessarily, but as a piece of music, I really, really quite like it.
All right, Ian, thank you. And now over to Tom Chianti. Tommy, what do you think about this particular track?
Well, Ian picked out the pieces, A, B, and C from the intro to the middle very, very correctly, especially that Aretha Franklin thing. Unfortunately, I don't think it was Aretha.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
I think what was going on, but it was kind of hard to tell because there are some mix issues and stuff. But really, what's going on is it's not holding the groove. It wasn't holding my attention. There's a ton of great ideas here, and as Ian says, it's good for a mood piece or a transitional piece in a mystery, a TV drama mystery, or something. It's definitely very thematic, film oriented, but the Led Zeppelin drums weren't there when the guitar Led Zeppelin came in, so you really didn't get that
You didn't get the let
swing.
out?
You didn't get the swing in the groove. It just sort of plodded, and the bass in the intro first was swinging and playing counter and off the drums and stuff. And then when it came back in again, it was on the beat. So it like turned around. So yeah, this has got a lot of great ideas. I agree with Ian. I like this. I like the soundscape a lot for what it is. It just needs to be produced a little bit better. And I think it definitely needs a vocal. And the idea of the female wailing vocal was very good. I think it was the guy. It sounded like it was him singing, and it was definitely off key. That I was hearing. Either that or the sample was in the wrong key or whatever. But whoever was doing the singer that tucked it way, way in the back was not quite hitting the notes. But it's all good ideas. It just needs to be worked through and tightened up on the groove. And he's definitely got something he could promote for a catalog or a sports drink or a car advertisement or something like that.
On a little bit of advice, what I would suggest this guy does, just to step in quickly, is sort of cut this down into sort of 30-second piece, a minute piece, a 2-minute piece, and then the full length piece, making it more marketable from that point of view for library and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Makes good sense. Makes very good
sense.
sense.
And also might help him organize it a little bit better if he took it section by section and heard them separately to see that they don't stand up on their own.
All right.
Yeah, definitely more for production rather than going for radio or any kind of song type format.
All right, well, there you have it. Those are our panelists, and I'll introduce the track to you. That track is called, as we wait for it to come up, it's called Instructions by Seconds Before Landing. Of course, I put the V there instead of a B as a sausage finger typo myself, but it is Seconds Before Landing with their track called Instructions on Music Scene Investigation. Again, you want to get your songs in front of our panel, all you have to do is go to musicsceneinvestigation.com, submit a song at the top of the page. We get questioned all the time out on Twitter, hey, do you guys review music? Yeah, but you have to submit it first. That's the only way you're going to get our review on it here at Music Scene Investigation. Right, Ian?
Right, Rich.
There you have it. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, guys.
It's time for our panel to discuss the music they've heard today and select a song of the week. So I'll leave it to you, the panelists, to make that selection.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, I want to go last.
You want to go last?
All
okay,
right.
ladies last.
Ladies prerogative.
Yes.
All right, Ian or Tom, what do you think?
Well, I'll go
go
first. I don't care. You want to go second to last, Ian, or you want to go first?
I really don't mind, Tom. You go where you want to go, mate.
I'm just going to flip a coin and say, okay, Tom, go.
All right, I'll go. I'm going to go with number 1. I really like number 3. Number 2, as I said, was all pretty much mono, and number 1, even though the guitars and it's got mix issues and everything, I just went with number 1 as being the least worrisome as far as where to go next. Just remix it, and I think that will hold up very, very nicely.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Ian?
I'm going to go with Pinky's vote. Pinky's voted for the chocolate because that way all of the songs would have been sweeter.
That's right, because you can always add chocolate.
You're not going to let me get away with that, are you?
Oh, more chocolate, everybody.
No, I agree with Tom. It has to be song number one. I think, as a presentation, as a song, as an arrangement, this is kind of leaps and bounds beyond the other two. I did enjoy the other two. Number two needs a lot of work, but there's a good song there. And number three, you need to refine that for more the market is capable of. But number one's basically, with a slight remix and mastering, that's going to sound awesome.
All right. Sounds good. Deborah?
So I'm going to be the dissenting vote. And I actually thought number two was a better song. I had problems with the mix, and there may be some issues there, but I think on its merits as a song, thought it was a stronger song. I thought it was more marketable, more commercial, and had a stronger verse, chorus. I just thought it was a stronger song.
All right.
We should let you go first.
Well, no, I wanted to be a dissenting vote because I knew you guys were going to go for one.
There you have it.
Was that
Are we that predictable?
Yeah.
and echoey?
No, that's not good, Tom. That's not good.
The problem is you guys weren't covered in chocolate there, so you're pretty
Only my
predictable.
bottom half is covered in chocolate.
Yes, but you can't see.
And that's what we can't say.
That's right.
I still have an imagination, and that's not a nice thought.
I know. It's kind of ruined me for the week as well. All right, song number one, our song of the week. It's called Losing Ground by Elcaset. And we appreciate their sending the track in. We appreciate you joining us today on Music Scene Investigation out in our live audience, which you can join every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'd love to see you in the chat room if you would. Come on down. If not, you can get us on iTunes or over on YouTube, or just go to MusicSceneInvestigation.com. Deborah over at artist-edge.com. We appreciate you being here with us as well. Certainly hope we can get you back on with us very soon.
I'd love to. Just let me know. I just got to put it in the schedule.
Definitely will. Definitely. We don't have you on enough, obviously, since the last time we had you on was back
almost
last
a year ago.
I know, it's terrible. We should be putting publicly flogged for that, I think.
I would just like to
has chocolate on it.
I would just like to clarify. I'd just like to clarify that I deal with UK guests. Rich deals with the US guests. So if there's any flogging or blame to be had, it's all on Rich.
Thank you, Ian. I appreciate that.
What's this? What's this?
I'm going to call Kermit the Frog and see if we can get him over here. So that way he can put up with Ian. No, I'm just kidding, of course. Deborah, thanks again for being with us. Always a pleasure. Certainly, we're going to get you back very quickly. There's no doubt.
You're welcome. I'm just getting the correct website up on the chat because it's Artists Edge, ARTISTS-EDG.
I promise you I put an S at the end of artists.
Yep, great.
But nobody hears it. But my microphone just cuts it out, I guess.
Everyone's. It's cool.
So anyway, we certainly hope to see you guys again next week when we'll have 3 new songs up before our panel. Ian, who is our guest next week?
Our guest next week, Richard is. I wish our website was faster. It's not even up on there, is it? Because you've changed it. I'll tell you in a minute. Did you hear the one about the
website that was so slow?
Yeah, about the website that was slow, and then you had to go back in, and it was all just like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore.
I'll tell you what, we'll just send everybody over to our website to find out, MusicSceneInvestigation.com, if you want to find out who our guest
It's Ken
is
Scott.
next week. That voice guy, of course.
That voice guy?
That voice
guy. Yeah.
I haven't heard that voice in almost a year, too.
He's not been around. He's been out of country doing a movie.
Oh, really? What was this? Was it the German art film, all done with chocolate cameras?
No, it was the Batman sequel.
It was the
Batman Tommy refused to do because they wouldn't pay him enough.
It was alien Sasquatches from Area 51.
All right. Join us next week when we have Ken Scott on, everyone. Until then, we're going to play out with Losing Ground by Elcaset right here on MSI. Thanks for being with us. Until then, have a great week, everyone.
Ciao, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Don't ask a question when you need no reply, 'cause there's two sides to the storyline of truth. Your broken fiction will not be my demise, 'cause the answer lies in honesty of proof. We'll soldier on, but we can only walk so far before we fall. We'll soldier on for all the days that went before. Hold on, now we're losing ground, but at least now we can say we know the truth. I'd rather waste my time on finding someone new that can see this once I compromise to you. One last request, I see no need to comply. You're contesting my reaction to refuse. There's no illusion or a trick of the light, because the only one who's losing ground is you. Let's take this freight train to the end of the line, 'cause you might just find